Has this ever happened to you? You're sitting there at dinner. The table is set. It looks like something out of Martha Stewart, in which it would receive effusive praise, I'm sure. There's a plate of steaming mashed potatoes, a platter of chicken, vegetables too, maybe some tofu. You're eating there with your family, enjoying it, and then it happens. Mid-sentence, mid-swallow, phone rings. You can't ignore it. You reluctantly push back from the table, you pick up the phone, you say hello, and as the person on the other line begins to speak, there's this emotion that wells up inside of you. And you know you can't hold it in, it's coming out. You hear it. Hi, my name is Joe Smith, I'm calling from Acme. You look at the phone like you're staring at Joe himself and you say, I'm not interested, and you hit disconnect. And for a second you wish you had a landline so you could slam down the receiver. Have you been there? Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I'm not interested. I'm not interested. That's our natural reaction to an unsolicited sales call, isn't it? I'm not interested. That's our default response to an unexpected invitation to an event. I'm not interested. Why do we say that? I suppose part of it comes from a healthy skepticism towards salespeople in general. I get that. But I think there's a deeper need for us to say I'm not interested than just being thrifty. I think deep down inside we say I'm not interested because we don't want to change. I'm not interested because I don't want to step out of my comfort zone. I'm not interested because I like things just the way they are. Sometimes we think that if we say I'm not interested, we're protecting ourselves from making a bad purchase or protecting ourselves from an unpleasant experience. But I submit to you tonight that when we say I'm not interested, we may actually be hurting ourselves. When we say I'm not interested, we may actually be setting back our careers. This came to me a couple of weeks ago when I received not one, but actually 3 phone calls from my bank. Now, in the days leading up to this day, I had received numerous mail solicitations from my bank. Anything from check out our new mortgage rates, sign up for a credit check, look at the new term life insurance rates we can offer you. And so when I saw on my phone that the bank was calling, I thought they were following up on the mail. And so I thought to myself, I'm not interested. I hit dismiss. 20 minutes later, another phone call comes in. Well, guess what? I'm still not interested. Hit dismiss. And within the hour, the 3rd phone call came in. I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to pick up the phone and tell them to their face that I'm not interested. So I pick up the phone, I say hello, and before I could say I'm not interested, I got this. Mr. Zale, this is Mike from the bank. I'm calling in regard to some possible fraudulent charges on your account. Not interested? Well, now I'm really interested. What made the difference? 2 seconds ago, I could care less about the call, and now it's all of my focused attention to listen to this guy. And it's all because I took the call and I heard the explanation. And it really made me think, how many times in the past had I just dismissed an offer with a not interested that really could have been beneficial to me? How many opportunities, how many invitations did I just ignore with a Facebook maybe and miss out on a fun time or miss out on meeting new people? I thought of a couple examples. 6 years ago I had a phone that could send and receive text messages. At the time I didn't even know what a text message was. And my phone company wanted to charge me for texting, to which I said, I'm not interested. Now here it is 5 years later, I wouldn't have a wireless plan unless I had unlimited texting. For the last 30 years, I've been in the investment business. And for most of those 30 years, I've worked for large New York Wall Street firms. I never thought of doing anything differently. Offers would come in to make a change, I'd say, I'm not interested, I like this, I like doing what I'm doing. And then 18 months ago, I finally stepped out and I set up my own financial planning office. And you know what I tell people today? I wish I had done it earlier. I wish I had done it earlier. How about you? Have you thought of an opportunity that you passed up in the past where you said, I'm not interested, and then you found out later it was a great opportunity? Are you dealing with something right now and you're just conflicted? You're saying, oh man, I think the risk is too much. It's too much out of my comfort zone. You don't know what to do? In 2008, there was a movie made just to address this issue. It was called Yes Man, and it starred Jim Carrey. Now, Jim Carrey played a character named Carl. Poor Carl was a not interested, boring, didn't want to do anything kind of person, living in a rut. His life was terrible until his friends convinced him to go hear a motivational speaker, a guru named Terrence Bundley. And Terrence convinced Carl to say yes to everything that came his way. And what resulted was a great, entertaining movie. A lot of funny situations, good life lessons, a couple of good quotes. In fact, there's one line in the movie where Terrence, the guru, says this to Carl. He says, Carl, you can't audit life. You can't audit life. How many in here have ever audited a class in college? You know what auditing is. No study requirements, no attendance requirements, no test requirements. How much did you get out of the class? Probably not much. You don't put in much, you don't get out much. You can't audit life. And that was the premise of the movie. But what most people don't know is that movie was actually based on a book of the same name. A man named Danny Wallace wrote a book called Yes Man, which chronicled his experiences doing exactly that in his own life. For 12 months, if an offer came in the mail, he accepted it. If somebody handed him a pamphlet on the street, he took it up and joined and took all kinds of experiences. If somebody invited him out, he accepted the invitation. You read the book and you hear all the crazy things he did. Some of the highlights were that he won $45,000. He traveled the world and he got a nursing degree. But if you read the book, he claims that the whole motivation for doing the project was a conversation he had on the bus with a stranger. And this stranger gave him 3 words. The stranger said, say yes more. Say yes more. And that launched the whole project. And that's what I want to leave you to tonight. When you get an offer to go to a new restaurant or to hear a concert of a band you've never heard of, rather than saying not interested, I say yes more. When you get a job interview for a company that's out of state, normally you just say, hey, I'm not interested. Say yes more. Whatever it is, bungee jumping, whitewater rafting, or even standing in front of a large audience speaking. Say yes more. And saying yes more is not just an action, it's an attitude. It's an attitude that gets rid of your negativity. It embraces change. It embraces the new thing. Don't let your fear and your complacency keep you from the opportunity of a lifetime. That's what happened to a man named Ronald Wayne. Ronald Wayne. Does anybody know that name? Ronald Wayne was a co-founder of a small company named Apple Computer. Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, Ronald Wayne. The problem was that Ronald was afraid of losing his savings in the new company. When he saw Steve Jobs borrowing money to create the first computers, he wanted out. And so 2 weeks after signing a partnership agreement that gave him 10% of the company, he sold his interest for a total of $2,300. He sold his 10% interest in Apple for $2,300. That stake would have been worth anywhere close to about $55 billion today. $55 billion. All because he wanted to stay in his comfort zone. He didn't want to take the risk. He wanted to stay exactly where he was, and so he missed out on the opportunity of a lifetime. I'm telling you, friends, don't let this happen to you. When invitations come your way, say yes more. When opportunities come your way, say yes more. When challenges come your way and you think, oh, this is too much for me, I'm telling you, say yes more. You have no idea what you can accomplish, what heights you can reach with a positive attitude in these 3 words, say yes more. Mr. Toastmaster.